Welcome to Cooking with Gerry. We're making a lunch that can be completely raw, except for I have a can of mackerel that was already pre-cooked at the factory. But everything here, all the vegetables, you can eat as a raw salad. I am going to partially cook everything because when I use the tap water to clean the vegetables, I need to at least raise the heat a little bit to neutralize any bugs that might live in the well water, which is what I have for tap water. So in the frying pan on a low heat, I have about 3 tablespoons of water, clean water that I have from a big 20-liter bottle of water that's right over there, what I'm pointing at. And I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of virgin olive oil. Trying not to cook with extra virgin oil. So here, what's going to go in first is I have a few pieces of broccoli that I am just going to cut up into pieces, not too big, not too small, aiming for about bite-sized pieces, which makes it easier for me when I sit down with my bowl or plate and I eat my food. So I don't need a knife. So if you can see what I'm doing here to cut the broccoli, I just go in partially with the knife, and holding the knife with one hand, I gently tear apart the broccoli flower. I don't want to cut all the way through the flower because then I have all these little pieces of broccoli flower and they cook a bit too much. Better to have raw food, or mostly raw food, when you're cooking or eating vegetables or fruit, just because your body uses it better and the cooking process does damage the food. So minimizing the cooking process will maintain more of the nutrition of the food. Meat's different. Meat, fish, chicken, pork. I really don't know how to prepare that kind of food raw. Maybe you do. Here I have a piece of carrot, also bite-sized pieces being cut. I am learning more and more as I discover the new science that's becoming available. The health of the gut microbiome, which is the intestine all the way from the mouth entry point to the exit point. The gut microbiome, but more specifically the intestine. The health of this part of your body is extremely important for overall health. Science is discovering that if the gut microbiome isn't so healthy, then the good bacteria that are inside your body are not as effective, and that's what they're discovering creates a lot of these diseases. So I mention that because right behind me, right here, I started this morning to make sauerkraut. It's basically fermented cabbage, and there are only 2 ingredients, cabbage and salt. The amount of salt you use depends on how much cabbage you have. Yesterday I watched 2 YouTube videos, and one man suggested 10 grams of salt per pound of cabbage, and another guy said 2% salt. So if you have 100 grams of Cabbage, you would use 2 grams of salt. Now, I don't have a way to measure, so I had 2 regular sized green cabbages, and I just put 2 tablespoons of coarse grained pink salt, and I'll see if that's enough. And then you mix it, you massage it, and what you get is a bit of liquid at the bottom. And I am also using this potato masher to make my job a bit easier, and I am letting it sit there to make my job even easier, allowing the heat and time to create the liquid, which is what you need when you pack it. So over the day, I'll continue to mix it, massage it, try to get a bit more liquid, because right now I don't think there's enough. And then you put it in some kind of container. These 2 guys have these really fancy containers. I'm just going to use a regular glass jar, and hopefully that's enough. So here I have spinach that's going in. I'm going to cut it up. Spinach, any kind of leafy green, really good for the gut microbiome. And I like to use the stem also of the spinach. Many people just use the leaf part, which is fine, but I think the stem of the spinach is also useful, nutritious. So that's going to heat up for a little bit, about a minute, and then it'll be pretty much done for me. Like I say, you can do it raw. If you want to cook it, by all means cook it, and how much you cook it depends on if you like it to be crunchy or soft. For today, I also thought to add some dried fruit and some seeds. So here in this small strainer, I have about 1 tablespoon each of sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. Those are going to heat up just a little bit. And then here I have 2 small dried pineapple rings and 2 pieces of date. The pit has been removed on these dates, so I just have to cut it up into smaller pieces, and I just want that to heat through. And the same thing with the pineapple rings. Sometimes I use scissors. Scissors are really convenient. I learned with my time in Italy. Many times I saw my family cutting pizza with scissors, cutting chicken with these heavy-duty scissors. And so from my time there, I also started to use scissors more often with food preparation. Obviously you want to make sure the scissors are clean. So that's going to get mixed a little bit. Looks good. And a little bit of salt. Here I have coarse grained pink salt. I'm going to put 2 pinches. If the sauerkraut turns out for me, I'll need to wait maybe up to a week for the fermentation to happen. If it works, then we'll do a video together of how to make sauerkraut. I also watched a couple of videos of how to make kimchi, another fermented process of food preparation, but it looks a lot more complicated, so I want it easy for the first time. And we'll do it together. I'm assuming it'll work out. I'm in an environment in the tropics where it's hot and humid, so it might ferment quicker than 1 week. And here I have just the canned mackerel and that I'm going to add directly into the saucepan. I am just going to use half of it, and I will use the other half for my next meal. And my thinking is that my body can only use so much of this fish protein at one time. If I eat the whole amount, I think it might be wasted because my body won't need that much at one meal sitting. So there we go. I'm gonna let it cook for maybe 30 more seconds, but I think it'd be nice for you to see it, so I will lift up the camera, show you today's lunch. There it is. So that's today's video. Lots of different possibilities. You don't need to add the dried fruit if you don't want to. I just want a few sweet surprises when the spoon goes into my mouth. And many different vegetables you can add depending on what you like. You could also add grains or potato or some kind of carbohydrate if you want more in your stomach. But for me, I want a light lunch. This will digest fairly quickly and it'll have my stomach ready for the last meal. So that's for today. I'm gonna cover it, let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'll have my lunch. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.